Hi guys, my inspiration for the day, my thought for the day just comes from this set of photographs that you see before you. These photographs were taken in 2013 when I visited Argentina and I did some time doing voluntary work in homes for people who had been abandoned. And the homes, St. Teresa's homes in Obeira in Misiones, were places where these people found love and kindness and compassion and care from all the frontline staff, the people who worked with them. They had found a new home to live so that they could no longer be abandoned and no longer be homeless. And the person that you see in these photographs before you is a lady named Carmen. Carmen was in her late 50s. She had experienced a mild stroke and she was left somewhat disabled, somewhat restricted, with nobody to look after her. And she'd been taken into the home. And every morning, Carmen would greet me with a smile. As you can see there, she used to gather bits of rags and she used to kind of upcycle clothing. She began to care for younger children and younger people in the home. The person in the top of the picture there, the little girl, as you see her feeding the little girl, Horley, was a girl that was about 5 years of age. She was blind, deaf and dumb. And every afternoon, Carmen would take her and feed her and nurture her like any mother would a young child. What strikes me about these pictures in particular is the image at the bottom right hand. It's an image, you see it there, it's kind of an orangey picture, and it's an image of a trawling net that you'd see kind of on boats or fishing boats. And I often used to see Carmen sitting, picking the knots out of this net, unraveling this net, so that she could use it to make things and be creative. She could use it to add to some of her items of clothing that she used to make. And just looking at these pictures in the last few days, I was kind of reminded of a little prayer that I'd like to share with you. It's a prayer that I think speaks to all of us about the idea of the knots, the KNOTS that we have in our lives. The things that can hold us back, the things that can block us, the things that sometimes we need to unravel. So I'd just like to take a moment to share the little thought and the little prayer with you now. Dear God, please untie for us the knots that are in our mind, the knots that are in our hearts and in our lives. Remove the have-nots, the can-nots, the do-nots that we all have and experience in our minds. Erase the will-nots, the may-nots, the might-nots that find home in our hearts. Release us from the could-nots, the would-nots, the should-nots, and the various knots that obstruct our lives. But most of all, dear God, we ask that you remove from our minds and our hearts and our lives all the am-nots that we have allowed to hold us back. Especially the thought that we often have that we are not good enough. Because each and every one of us must remember that we are enough. Let that be your mantra today. I am enough. In these difficult times and difficult days, just let that be your mantra. I am enough. Because if we go back to the images of Carmen, a woman who has left a massive imprint on my life, and really I was privileged in 2013 to meet her, to know her, and to spend time with her for about 4 weeks of my life. What really stands out for me in Carmen is her resilience, her realization in herself that she was enough. And despite the fact that she had been abandoned and had a tough life, that she could find her place in these homes and live a happy life. Hence the reason why every morning, as I said, she greeted me with the most inspirational smile. So this is my prayer for each and every one of us today, that we remind ourselves of how very special we each are, that we remind ourselves of the strength and the resilience that we each have within us to get through these difficult days and difficult times. I invite you to share with me and let Carmen be your inspiration today. And I'd just like to finish by adding a prayer and a thought for the people of Argentina today, for the people in St. Teresa's homes, in Misiones, in Oberá. To ask God in these times, because I know COVID-19 is a factor out there at the moment, but just to ask God to bless each and every one of them, including Carmen, this day. Amen.